Alright, so this video is actually going to be probably a little shocking opposed to the videos we have been posting on both of our channels.
Oh my god, I freaking feel like it's about to be insane.
But we are also Hollywood Cowgirls, which you guys also know of that. We are Hollywood Cowgirls, but our Hollywood Cowgirls account was getting a little bit of, I don't want to say hate.
It was getting some hate.
Yeah, it was just getting us a little too much controversy at the moment than what we can deal with, because obviously we are going through some banana stuff.
Yeah.
And we just needed like a clean slate, and plus it's really hard for two people to vlog all the time together, so...
And get content out every day, it's just like not working.
Yeah, but this way like you guys are going to see each other a lot in each other's channels, so... But, I mean, if you ever need history on, like, what this is and what we're doing, just go back to Hollywood Cowgirls. You'll see it all, and then it'll bring you here.
Exactly. So, we kind of have a very anticipated video, highly anticipated video that we have been wanting to do for a while. We filmed a talk about, I guess, in Mexico already. We talked about it. We came out here to Mexico with a intention to heal, and that's exactly what was kind of brought into our path. Not even the first day here. It was like we got here and that was it. It wasn't even like 24 hours before we heard that like we could do something.
Therapy.
Yeah, so it was a healing treatment that we did in Mexico.
Should we say it together?
And
should we just be like 3, 2, run? We did.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna tell you what we did. It's like really abnormal. Like, this is honestly really hard for us to like say into cameras because like this is a big deal, but Ashley and I, 3, 2, 1, 5 MEO DMT. Okay, yeah. We shouldn't be laughing. It's a dead serious thing, but it's obviously big.
Yeah, so okay, so to make it kind of a not so intimidating thing, to us it wasn't as horrible as we're kind of making it out to be. Like, to us it's not as big, I guess, as we are kind of saying it, but the only reason why we have this reaction right now is because everyone that we've told is like, what? You did what?
Yeah, everyone, like, I thought I was gonna be able to like tell a few close people and they're gonna be like, oh, okay, but people are like, oh my god! I'm just like, what? But honestly, you can have a judgment of it, but if you haven't done it, you can't say a lot about it.
Yeah, no, doing it is honestly the whole experience. You can't even fathom what it is unless like you've literally done it, you know? So. And
when we went to Mexico, her and I sat down with each other and said we wanted to have a healing trip. We didn't want to go to Cancun and Playa del Carmen and like club it up and like be all crazy. Like, we literally went to Mexico with the intentions of healing. Yeah. We landed and like literally this was brought into our path, and it was like, yeah, we're all going tomorrow and doing it, and we're like,
yeah, we were like, what?
And then they're like, do you want to come and like look and see like what it's all about? And hold on one second. This is like a big part of it, for me at least, is that damn thing. Because we're Hollywood Cowgirls, so only...
Oh, you brought it?
Yes.
Yeah, so the day of, she found this thing on the beach, like the morning of, like right before we were about to do it, she found this thing.
I asked for a sign. I was like, okay, if Ashley and I are meant to do this, I need a serious sign, universe. Like, you gotta give me something, man. Like, I'm not just, because to me, like, honestly, I did my research on it. Like, when someone told us like what it was, we googled it. I mean, we YouTubed it, we looked at the videos, and if you look at some of the videos, you know, it's a little scary. But like the people that were with us were like, no, it's not like that, I promise. Like, everyone has a different experience. The experience a lot has to do with you, blah blah blah. So we're like, we got there way before the ceremony, and like I think that almost like made it better, but also made it worse because the nerves were like building up. But I decided, I was like, I need a sign from the universe. Like, give me a sign. And I just like went down the beach and like I started walking by myself, and literally like there was this thing sticking out of the sand, and like when the water went down, I just saw like this thing sticking out of the sand. So I walked over to it and I grabbed it, and it was this. I'm sorry, but what?
Yeah.
Who finds this in the middle of Mexico, in the beach? Like, 2 horses touching the world. Hollywood cowgirls. Like, it was like, there you go. And
like,
side.
The weirdest part is that when we do tarot cards, we always get this one card, the moon. Wait, it's the moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's these 2 girls, and they're like standing there with like a moon in the back, and
Like
there's
little
like
sticks.
yeah, and then there's like these little 2 black dogs like jumping in the background, and you're just kind of like, the heck? So it's like weird that this card, I mean, this came up the day of, you know?
And like, I mean, I even like just walked over to Ashley and she was just like, excuse me? And I was like, right? Like, what is that? Like, and it was definitely like a sign. Like, if you ask a sign from the universe, you're gonna get one. And this was like a huge slap in the face of a sign. Like, this isn't like some sandcastle toy. I don't know what this is. Like, no one can figure out what this is, where it came from, why it was there, and how it was in Mexico in an isolated beach that no one goes to.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was just really weird. Like, I literally felt like it like traveled from somewhere around the world, somewhere else in the world, and like landed there at that specific moment, because it was like in the sand and like this was sticking out. I was like, what is that? Grab it out and it's this.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, I walked back over and I was like, all right.
Yeah. So we wanted to, I guess, first cover what it is. So if you guys don't know what 5-MeO DMT is, or it's MEO DMT, it's basically your body secretes DMT twice in your life. It's when you're born and when you die. And what we did was not the synthetic DMT that you hear about all the time. That kind of DMT is more of like a psychedelic. You have more of a, I guess,
you see aliens.
yeah, you go somewhere else. You go like to the astral plane. You meet like astral people. Like, people have similar experiences to like when they talk about DMT. But this was something that you don't have any crazy visualizations. You don't have any crazy trips. It's literally like you do it, like you experience all this overwhelming like energy, and then you don't even know what the hell you did during your like entire process, and then you're done, and then you have all these like crazy like feelings of being one with the universe. So it's extremely spiritual. It's not anything like synthetic DMT.
No, and that was because honestly, like me, I grew up I'm just very conservative. Like, I'm not
straight edge.
Yeah, I'm not a huge drinker. I'm not like into any of this kind of stuff. Like, literally, like, drugs scare me. Like, they just really do scare me. Like, I've never like been like such a person. And like, once everyone was telling me like how powerful this was, I was like, no.
Yeah, like, no thanks.
And like, honestly, like, for me to do this is just going to show you that it's not like this drug that you do to like, you know, rave or something. Like, this is like literally like why I and Ashley chose to do this more so is because it lets you heal. Like, the guy kept saying to us, it's 5 years of therapy. Like, you're beating it out. Like, you are like literally healing yourself. And like, what would take you 5 years in therapy is like in 15 minutes on this DMT. And I was like, okay, so we literally got on this plane saying we want to heal ourselves, and then there's this person saying like, oh yeah, skip 5 years of therapy, do this for 15 minutes, and like everything's gonna be okay. I'm at the point where like I was like, you know, having
give me anything.
Yeah, I was like, give me anything to get out of this mindset. And like, just everyone, like, the whole vibe of it was just so beautiful. Like, I mean, even the way that we were blessed, like, it was just so like beautiful. There wasn't really a moment where it's like, this is a drug. Like, there was not one moment where like I was feeling like I was taking a drug whatsoever.
No, not at all.
And like, we were doing it like in the middle of the day on a beach, isolated. It's not like there was any partying going on whatsoever. So it's just very much so like the most, I haven't even like ever gone to a therapy or life coach session, God, where it was like that beautiful. Like, literally the water, the sand, the sun, like it was just like everything was like literally panning out to like what Ashley and I asked for. Like, her and I just got into like the chakra opening. Her and I were just getting into like aromatherapy, and like he's bringing out his aromatherapy, he's bringing out all his sage. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is so, like, we just kept looking at each other going, like, is this for real? Like, is this for real?
Yeah, it was beautiful. And he was such a beautiful person, too.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't think we could really stress that enough. And then the guys that, there was a couple that came to do it with us, and they were, like, beautiful as well. So, like, the entire experience, like, the people we were with, like, the place we were at, the way it was done, like, was so beautiful. And
Insane.
I think that was probably the thing that we're most grateful for, because if you do look up other people's experiences on the internet, it's like pretty aggressive.
Yeah, and like I don't understand how people would do it like at their home by themselves.
Yeah,
like it's really, I mean, once we get into like what it's like, it's really intense, and it's supposed to be like, the reason is it's only 5 years old to, I mean, the regular society, but it's ancient, like people from all kinds of tribes and whatnot.
Mayans and stuff.
Yeah, they used to do it, but they like held it away from the world because they knew they'd abuse whatever this is. And I mean, I can see why, because I can only imagine if it ever were to get to the States, how many people will abuse this when it's like meant to really like heal you. It's not something that you're supposed to go and do every weekend.
Yeah.
And you'll know why once you do it. You're like, I'm good for quite some time.
Yeah, so it is 5 times stronger than regular DMT that you will find here in United States, but it's kind of like, it's so different. They're not even like anything like each other whatsoever. I mean, I guess the same the concept is the same, and the same, like, there's the purpose for doing it is the same, but it's not in any which way the same, like the experience that you have. So what I guess we should kind of go into like what we experienced, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was very overwhelming. It was very loud. It sounded
literally, my palms are getting sweaty. Like, just,
I know, right?
Like, this is honestly, like, I don't think you got, like, we laugh and we smile, but this is really serious.
No,
like,
yeah.
It's so serious, but at the same time, like, it's made us so happy, and that's, like, we're able to be, like, so giddy about it and talk about it so normal. But, like, this is a serious thing. Like, we're not saying, like, go, everyone go do 5 MEO DMT.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like, the thing that made us very, like, oh, we have to do this was the guy who presented it to us, like, that there was an opportunity to do it. He was saying that his friend was, like, heavy into drugs before he had ever gotten into it, and then after he did the therapy, he, like, didn't even touch drugs, didn't have any kind of dependency on drugs, nothing. So
yeah.
I think we have kind of experienced that same thing. We're not like drug addicts, we don't do drugs, but I mean, from every now and then, like, we're not opposed to weed. And so I think, like, after that, we've literally been like, no, like,
no drinks out coming our way, and we're just like, like,
yeah,
literally, you don't
even going out.
You don't have a need for any of that escape, because if you think about what drugs and drinking and all that is, it's an escape route. You want to be a different person, and when you do this 5 MEO DMT, you become that exact person that you've been searching for your whole entire life. Like, you finally become that person, and like, you don't feel a need to like escape anymore. There's none of that like, oh, I need this to like behave this way or like feel calmer. It's like you're able to find it within yourself now, which is like, thank God.
Yeah, no, it's intense when you first smoke it. You're kind of like, so they use a like clear little glass piece, and they put it in there, the little drop of like it looks like shatter, if you know
and it's
what
like
that is.
That much.
Yeah, so then he hits it with a torch and you inhale it. But you inhale it and you don't ever exhale, and it never like actually comes out. You kind of just like, it disappears inside of you.
That's the weirdest part about it, because they're like, don't exhale, and it's like, what? And then all of a sudden just like, but before it goes away, it's just, I mean, it's, you hit it, and you hit it one more time, there's 2.
You're not even like really conscious the second time you hit it, you're like, I just did what?
And then all of a sudden it's like,
yep.
And you're just like, you're gone. Like, once you hear that noise, you guys, like, you're not here. Like, this, anything is like completely gone. It's like, you can feel literally everything everywhere.
So heavy. Everything is so heavy. It is insane. And everything feels very like, like it's vibrating,
like orgasmic. Like it's very like you can feel
pulsing.
Yes, like you could, like we were on the beach, so you could feel the ocean, you can feel the energy of the people around you, but you don't know it's the people around you, but you just feel like everything is like, you're not human anymore. You're just like, your energy is like meshing around. I don't know.
And even like now talking about it, like I think I can recall exactly like that feeling.
My
right?
heart is like you can like it just feels really like good. Like you can just feel the energy of everything, and like it is so insane. Like it's probably just the most insane thing. Like
it's so intense. It's like I don't even know how to describe that to even give it justice, or to even really there's no describing what it's really like. I think it's kind of you have to do it for yourself to really
understand what we're saying.
So after we hit the pap, we your body experiences resistance. So the main point of doing this is to have an ego death. So you do experience death during the trip, and that's probably the part that everyone kind of freaks out about, because you're dying and you don't want to let go, because your body will do anything to survive. At the end of the day, your body has the instinct to keep itself alive no matter what. So when you're having that resistance, it's like the battle within yourself, within your ego. And the moment that you let that go, the outsiders that are watching can see like, oh, she let go, like she finally let go.
Yeah.
So once that happens, that's when you start having like those crazy like revelations. That's when you start having like, oh my God, like this is amazing. This is like therapy. This is what I've always needed. Like we're one. We are all like the same. Like we are the universe. We are God. Like that's when you start having all of those like revelations, and you kind of let it like take you with it.
Yeah.
So, but the resistance part is probably the hardest part, and we had different experiences with the resistance. So, do you want to talk about yours first?
Sure. I guess, because I went first, so that would So I knew I couldn't do it after Ashley, because if anything happened to Ashley, like if I saw Ashley like freak out or anything, I wouldn't have done it. There would have been no way in hell. And that's honestly my codependency. I'm fully aware of that. But like I knew I had to do it first just to get it out of the way. Like I can't. It's just something I had to do. Like I had to, especially, I don't know. It was really crazy. And like our friend did it before us, and he was crying, and he was having this like really intense like trip, and like I've never seen him be that vulnerable in my whole entire life. And I walked up to him, and like I thought he like had a terrible time, because he was like literally crying so hard, and he was like, it was beautiful. I was like, what? Excuse me? And he's like, you have to do it. And I was like, and then the guy, like the shaman, he like held me, and he's like, nothing is a coincidence in life. You were brought here for a reason. I'm like,
You're like using my own words again.
Yeah, literally. So I was like, okay. So I sat there. There's a prayer that you have to read, and like you're reading this prayer, and it's all to yourself. It's not like, it's the most beautiful prayer I've ever read in my life, and you're reading it to yourself, and like you get really choked up, and you're just like, oh my God. Like this is really like everything I asked for. Like this is everything I've been asking for myself. Like how much I want to heal, like to the exact words. And someone else wrote that. Like that wasn't me like writing a journal, like my intentions. That was the universe providing that for me and us that day. So I was like, holy crap, like this is real. This is everything we were asking for.
It's like a pretty lengthy prayer too.
Yeah,
it's like a whole page.
And you read this prayer, and I mean, like I said, I was just sitting there in front of this man, and he puts this in front of me, and everything that Marissa is, like everything I grew up believing about drugs, about everything, was like screaming at me, like, get up, go home, what the hell are you doing? But there was like an anchor in my body that was making me sit there, and I was like, oh my God. Like I literally felt like there was someone else like telling me to do this. Like there's just that little voice, my intuition going, you gotta do this, Marissa. Like I know this is like, but it was my ego that didn't want to do it. My ego didn't want to let go of anything I was. So you inhale it, you have to hold it, it dissolves, and then the second hit, and then all of a sudden that, and I was just like, after that, like I didn't even know I was on the beach anymore. I was just like, oh my God. Like, and literally like, the best way I can describe the first few seconds of this was like, you don't even understand how you're breathing. Like everything was very slow. Like every swallow was just like everything, like you're trying to comprehend it. Like I know that there's probably more going on when like Ashley was watching me, but like in the moment it happens like this. So you only remember like a small fraction of what really happened. And for me it was like I could feel like that feeling of like something was like trying to fight for me to stay up, and then I finally, like that little voice was like, let go. And like I let go, and that's when you lay down because your body is like trying to like stay and fight. So then I finally like laid down, and I was laying down, and your brain isn't like chattering. You know, like when you're sitting there by yourself and you hear like your voice talking, like that's not what it is anymore. It's almost as if like it's almost as if like your energy is speaking to the rest of the energy in the world. Like you really realize that you don't need words to communicate with anyone or anything in this lifetime. You realize that's all your energy. Like literally what you think and what you put out is like what you're receiving and what you're giving. And like you really feel that for the first time. So you don't really have that chatter, you just feel it. Like you feel everything. And my biggest thing is I lost my grandma when I was 14 years old, and I believe she's the one that brought me this on the beach as my sign, because I've always felt like she was with me, but I never had the validation that she was. And all of a sudden, like, I just see this hand, and she had very specific hands because she had sunspots on her hands, and I look down, and I see that hand, and it's on my chest, and I just grab it because I knew exactly what hand it was. And I look up and she's looking at me, and like that's when I knew I was safe in whatever I was doing. I realized this wasn't a drug. This was literally like the most magical is the only way I can use it, because I literally feel like it is magic at some point. Like it's insanity. And I look up and I see her, and like I immediately just am like, you've been here the whole time, in my head. And she says yes. And like that's when I realized I was crying. Like you cry a lot of the whole experience, and I just realized like I was crying really heavily, and like I could feel myself crying. And like once I could feel like myself again, I thought it was over. So I got up, and all of a sudden I realized like this is where there's like you go through all these different phases of like what you need to work on with yourself. And now that I'm out of it, I know that this was one of the phases I had to go through myself. But I get up, and I thought it was done because you don't know how much time went on. And I look down at my leg, and I literally see like every cell in my leg, and I was like, what the hell? And like I was like, oh, because my biggest fear doing this was honestly that I was gonna go mentally ill. Like I thought that like once you were done with it, nothing was gonna look the same. You know, I thought you were gonna be some crazy person. Like I didn't know. So I looked down, I'm like, oh my God, I see every cell in my leg. Oh my God. And then like I'm looking at the ocean, and like you just see like, I'm like seeing like a lot of things. Like it looked like different dimensions I was looking at, and like I could see my eye in the sky, and I was just like, oh, and like I reached for Ashley. Like I looked back and I saw Ashley. I was like, come here. And then like I'm like looking at this one guy that I knew, and I was just like, I started having a panic attack, like a legitimate panic attack. I was like starting to freak out, and there's some part of me in my body that wanted to get up and just run. And like I just had like this deep fear that I was dying. I was like, this is it. This is how I die. Like I'm dying on this beach right now. Like this is it. This is my death. I'm done. Like, oh my God. And like I was freaking out. Like I literally could feel my panic. And I realized, and then like the shaman guy like realized what was going on. He's like, you need to lay back down. He's like, oh yeah. And he like laid me back down. I was like, once I laid back down and like felt like Ashley's hand and this guy that we know's hand and like his hands, I realized like once I had those hands back on me and the energy of love, that I was okay again. And I just really realized like how much love I need. Like I really, for majority of my childhood and like majority of my adulthood, when it came to relationships and whatnot, like I really was lacked love. Like I really was deprived love. And I realized once I felt that, like I was okay again in life. And I realized I just have to keep love around. I can't isolate myself too much. And that's a realization I can have now because of that. But like once I felt them again, I was like, okay. And then like you're able to breathe, and then like you feel everything again. And then that's when I really woke up, and it was like, I was the happiest I've ever been in my life. I couldn't get up and walk. It's like that intense, I couldn't walk. But like I looked at everyone with so much love, and like I've never really looked at life that way. I've always kind of looked at life like I was in danger, or people are out to get me, or that no one has my best interest at stake, and I only am truly have myself. And like, I don't know, like for the first time in my life, like I like literally like was able to look at Ash like, oh my god, I love you, and then look at Rigo like, oh my god, I love you, and my other friend, oh my god, like I just wanted to hug, and like I just wanted to be like with love with everyone. And you realize like that's all life is about at the end of the day, is love. And like, yeah, it was just really intense. And like, yeah, that was basically like that experience for me per se. And it, like, that's why I said there's like those levels. Like it started off where it was like beautiful, like the trip started off where it's like it knew I needed to have comfort before I really had to have the ego death. And the ego death literally feels like death. Like there's no like, you become okay with dying. Like you're in this state where you're like, I'm dying. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so what if I die? And then like you calm down, and then it's over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And, we don't really hug that much in our friendship, like ever.
We're not affectionate people at all.
Yeah, so right when I like met her at the water, like we were all hugging, and then like we're sitting at like the water for a little bit, just like kind of processing, and then we all went in together and we're cleansing. He said like to go into the water to cleanse like all of the stuff that we had, our subconscious had basically, you know, gotten out. But it was a really interesting experience, to be honest. And I thought a really beautiful part of it was the chakra, the bells that he like dinged over our chakras. Yeah, and the aromatherapy that he put over our nose. But I think you're so blacked out in that moment that like you don't really remember. I don't remember him doing that to me, but I remember like watching him do it to you guys, and I was like, wow, like that's really amazing. Like it really kind of ties in the entire experience, you know?
Yeah, we definitely aren't. We definitely didn't do this and just do it for, you know, craps and giggles and to go and see aliens in other dimensions. Like we literally did it because the difference between 5-MeO DMT and DMT is 5-MeO is like inner, like you are going in within yourself and you are wanting to heal yourself and like face all those things that you've never faced. And you call it, I mean, we call it shadow work. Like it makes you go into that and really recognize like what are those core things that you need to work on with yourself. And DMT is mostly like seeing sacred geometry and like seeing cool things, which is crazy because you do have that. Like we both looked up in the sky and saw sacred geometry. I mean, when we meditate now, I can see it like so vividly. Like, and that's the craziest part. The difference between 5-MeO and DMT. It's like, this is still here with us. Like there's not a day that you don't reflect back on that and have these weird thoughts like, oh my god, like I can see this clearly because of that. And like that's the coolest part about it is like it's not just about that day, it's about the weeks, the months, and even up to a year after, you're still having things processing and going on in your brain. And it's really intense because like you have a lot of realizations about yourself, about others around you, and you just start to live completely differently, but in the best possible way, like the best possible way.
It completely purges your subconscious, like all of because you aren't aware of the trauma that your subconscious holds on to during your entire life. And I think I've said this in like a previous video, but from 0 to 8 years old is when the trauma that you experience in that time frame is the trauma that you're going, and not just the trauma, but all of kind of like the life patterns that you've experienced up until that point is what you're going to repeat through your subconscious for the rest of your life. So this is kind of a really good way to purge your subconscious of all of the things that you weren't even aware of experiencing when you were not even, you know, of age to have memory, when you can't even think of, you know, you can't think of yourself at 1 year old and what you were experiencing, what, you know, how you felt about certain things. It's just kind of like those things are in you no matter what, and they come out through your subconscious. So it's a complete subconscious purge, and it's insane because I don't think there's like a moment throughout the day that like we don't really think about it. You know, it's always with us. It's always with us, and now it kind of comes out through our dreams, because when you're sleeping, that's when your consciousness isn't on, so that's when your subconscious gets to play. And it's definitely like the dreams that we've been having have only been getting more vivid and more vivid.
Yeah, it's the dream aspect is, I think we'll do a whole other video on the dreams of what after 5-MeO and DMT, because they are stories within themselves. Like, we have some footage of me when like I woke up, I think it was day 4 of Mexico, and like I had like the craziest night terror I've ever had in my life. Like, I've never been in a dream where like you literally can't get out of it. And then, I mean, there's just so much more to this. This is just kind of like the broad spectrum that like this is what we did, and like you know, it's not in the United States, and if it is in the United States, it's more of what is it?
Very hushed.
Yeah, it's very hushed, but you have to go to these places to get it, which is amazing to me, because it just shows you how sacred it is and how important it is to certain cultures where they want to protect it so that it would stay so pure, because they realize that this is such an important thing to do. And like the most beautiful part about this stuff is like the guy that is the one that really brought this out into the world, he just goes around and helps drug addicts and like helps heal them, and like that's his goal with this, is to like help drug addicts and alcoholics and people that really just want to heal, and that's all it is about, is just healing.
Yeah, and like the Mayans, even at the bottom of their temples, they used to sacrifice young women for various reasons. I think it was for like the weather, right? For the
rain.
Yeah, so they would find like skulls of like adolescent girls, and then they would also find the skulls of the frogs at the bottoms of the kind of like buried at the bottoms of the temples or the runes. So it's definitely like there is evidence that the Mayans were using this as an ancient medicine to, you know, further their consciousness and to be more connected with the universe. So it's all of these principles and all of these things that we talk about. I mean, now that we live in the, you know, 21st century, we have lost so much of that because through socialization, and we've lost a sense of culture, especially living in the United States. I think
it's so out of whack.
Yeah, because there are so many different cultures here. We don't have one singular culture. So it's really beautiful going to a different country and seeing that is the culture there. Like, everybody is very spiritual. Like, a majority of people that you meet are very open to talking about these kinds of things with you. They're very they're just more about being connected.
Yeah, they're more about the actual universe rather than money, rather than churches, rather than, I don't know, they're not about, they're like literally like just so kind and so like healing.
Or just listen to it. Doesn't it sound like it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make your heart race? When I like heard this, it wasn't like too long after we had come back from Mexico, and I was like freaking out. I was like,
yeah, noises like that, honestly though, they make you like, oh my,
right? Like that is just like, but that's literally what it sounds like, that like panic kind of sound.
Yeah, it sounds like something's like coming over you. Like, it's just such a loud, like intense, like, ooh, like it's every cell in your body, I feel like it's vibrating, and like you can't hear anything besides that noise. And then like, it's just like, it feels like your head's about to explode. Like, that's how loud it is in your head. You're just like, holy crap. I'm breathing heavy just saying that, because like it literally is like you feel like you're about to stop breathing.
Yeah, you feel like you're dying.
And then also just like, boo, and you're like, oh my, and then like you're just in your own body going, what did I do? What did I do? I'm about to die. I'm about to die. And then like these beautiful things start happening, but it feels like that, but it also feels like forever. It's like this like really weird tug of war. It's just like you're not here. Like, I can't express that enough, you guys. Like, honestly, like when we are sitting here trying to explain this to you, like,
we could sit here forever and try.
I could sit here forever. Like, we both can just like try to like fathom this for you, but like, we did it to heal ourselves. And I think honestly, like to Ashley and I both, it's like the way her and I hugged each other after, like she said, we're not affectionate at all, and just the way like we viewed, like her and I got in a little tiff when we came back from Mexico, which is okay, like, you know, like people get in fights all the time, but for once, like, we were able to dissolve it. Like, yeah, it got out of control, but like you realize that like life is too goddamn short. Life is too short. Everything is too short. Like, this is gonna go like that. Like, everything's gonna be done like this. Like, whatever your dream is, it's like, you better do it now because you could just be gone tomorrow and then it's not gonna happen. Like, you realize that, like,
I need to do this shit now.
Yeah, you realize, like, you are in the most insane place ever. Like, life is so insane. Like, I'm telling you, like, I saw different dimensions at one point. When I woke up, I saw the different dimensions, and like I saw my eye in the sky, and you realize that, like, and just like being able to look into my grandma's eyes, you realize like there's more here. There's so much more here.
I guess that concludes this half of the
DMT
video.
Yes.
Next one, we are going to go more in depth about our experience after, and like what we have been kind of going through, and our dreams, and like what kind of dreams she had in Mexico and kind of dreams I had. So it's just kind of like, we're going to do the after work.
Yeah. And also, after this talking part, there's going to be a segment of when Ashley actually did this. I don't know how much of it we will put in, but we're going to show you guys a little bit of it. And that will be really cool for you guys to see, because then you'll know exactly what kind of scene we're talking about. So stay tuned. Keep on watching this video all the way through. It's there, I promise. Or we promise.
Yeah.
And you're going to see, like, us hugging, like, what we said we did. Like, it's cool because now we have it documented and you guys are able to see it. But, like, honestly, I hope you guys are listening to this with such an open mind and know that, like, we're better humans for, like, other people in the universe after this experience. And it's, like, such a positive thing. And if, like, you're watching this and you have, like, some sort of judgment, it means that there's something in you that you need to work on yourself with. If you're even judging people to begin with, it's something that you have to work on with yourself. And I think that's all I can really say about that when it comes to that part.
Exactly. So thank you guys so much for watching our video. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe on both our channels, because we will be having a bunch of content coming out together. And stuff that kind of bounces off from each other.
You guys will see that we're like individuals. Like, we are two individual people. Like, we both, you can tell, have our different styles. We have our different things. We have our different lives. But for some reason, when we're together, it's like magic and it meshes, and like that's why we always say, like, we are each other's twin flames. And like, I think that'll be so beautiful for you guys to see our friendship from like both of our perspective, and especially this story, because like both of us like had this insane thing. We did this insane thing, and like you're literally doing it by yourself, but at the same time, it's like we did it with each other, and like there's not a lot that you can top when it comes to friendship, when it comes to doing.
I know, right? Doing something like that
on an isolated beach with people that don't really speak English.
Yeah,
you know, just the second day in Mexico. It's
a
fine.
different country. Yeah, but thank you guys for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.
Yo la neta no por no te das cuenta, no tienes noción mientras estás en el hospital de que hay gente alrededor.
Como el amor sana, y la vida.
acompaña.
Ah, sí. Conectas con la naturaleza.
¿Verdad? Conectaste con el todo. ¿Te gustó? Sí,
She's so happy.
te ves hermosa.
You inhale it twice and then your body just is like gone, or like everything's just gone, like you literally. And like for me, I immediately felt like the universe, like you literally, like when people say you feel like you are one, you literally are one. Like you just feel like, I just felt like all these things like just coming in and out of me and just like this whoa, whoa, like it was the weirdest experience. And then the shaman guy, he like puts his hand on your heart a lot because you need comfort like the whole time, like it's very intense. And for me, my grandma passed away, and like I said in this video, she is a main reason as to why I'm specifically doing this, because she said break the cycle. And I felt this hand, and it wasn't his hand, it was her hand, and I just felt the hand, and I look up and it was her looking down at me, like with the sun shining and like her face and her blue eyes and her blonde hair looking down at me going, I've been here the whole time. And I just like immediately like obviously started crying like my heart out, and like it was so beautiful. And then I like cried and smiled, like that was my thing. And I think I smiled a lot because I really do hold back my happiness a lot, like I don't show it. And then there was one part where I got up, I think too early, but I think that was part of my journey, is because I'm a very anxious, scared human. Like I really freak out a lot of the time, and I really get nervous, and I get crazy sometimes when I don't feel like things are going correct. So I got up and I just was starting to basically have a panic attack, right? Yeah. And like I looked back and like I needed Ashley, and I was like, Ashley, come here. And like I wasn't aware of what was going on. I just like literally saw like every cell in my body, like you just see things differently, like you don't see it normal. And I thought I went crazy. I was like, oh my god, this is what everyone's talking about, like I actually am going mental, like this is it. And then like he realized that like I got up way too early, and I laid back down, and then everything felt really good again. And I re-woke back up, and it's just like I was so happy. I've never been happier in my whole entire life than like that moment. And like it's because you realize how blessed you are to be on this universe, how beautiful this universe is, how beautiful every person is, like how you need to just let go of everything, like your past, you need to let go of your ego, you have to let go of everything that you think of, all the nasty voices in your head. Like you just have to literally be present, because we're so fortunate to be here, we're so fortunate to have everything. And it was just, it's honestly life-changing, and that's what everyone kind of says. And like me and Ashley, like we realized like how many things we don't want to do anymore. Like we don't want to watch TV, we don't want to waste our life on like stupid stuff anymore. Like you realize like how stupid so much stuff is when you really are there. And I just, you know, the thing is once you do it, he says like that was the hardest, most intense part, but it literally stays with you for months, days, years. So like that was just the beginning, and like It's just crazy because today Ashley and I woke up and it was like we didn't think about those people that we've been talking about in these videos at all.
Yeah.
Like it was so clear, like we're just
Completely let go.
you're just making breakfast, like we're just laughing and dancing and like you're doing everything that you knew that like you had in